everyone, welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's community talk show. I'm Wendy O'Connell, and our guest from the community today is Ember Rebrina. Ember is an activist for the LGBTQ plus community and an asylum seeker. They fled their homeland in Russia in 2023 and spent 3 months in a shelter by the Mexican border. Now here in Brattleboro, Ember is a client at CASP, the Community Asylum Seekers Project, where they receive basic needs, services, and assistance of all kinds as they build their new life here. Welcome, Ember.
Hi, and thank you for having me here, Wendy.
It's great to have you on the show. We feel very lucky, to have snagged you to come on and talk about your experience of how you got here and kinds of things you're doing now, where you're headed as well. So you were born in Russia in an urban area, a city.
Yes, I was born in a city that was 1 million plus citizens, Volgograd, also known as Stalingrad. But I moved from there when I was 18 to St. Petersburg because Volgograd was quite unsafe for me. I have a lot of people who were looking forward to beating me, so I moved to St. Petersburg, which I thought was safer.
And this was when you were 18. And the fact that you were non-binary, is that what made things less safe for you?
Yes, I always had feminine gender expression, and people there in Volgograd, a lot of them thought that it is inappropriate for a male assigned at birth person to have such gender expressions, so they were verbally abusing me and sometimes physically.
And that was before you were 18 even?
Yes, it was before I was 18.
Yeah. And so you left your family and you moved to another city.
Yes, I had to. I tried to come out to my mother when I was 13 years old. I told her that I was gay and that I'm in love with my classmate. She told me that she is in mood for hanging herself, and we had a very difficult discussion. And after that, I understood that for my safety, I should try to pretend that I'm a straight cisgender man until I get 18. And when I get 18, I should, as soon as possible, leave my home for my own safety. So I did so.
So you went through school, basically living the life of an ordinary teenage boy.
Yes, very feminine, ordinary teenage boy.
Did you have friends?
Yes, I have friends, and I even have some friends who I still talk to, and there are not a lot of them. I think only one person. And they are not in Russia too, because now a lot of people are leaving Russia because of the military conscription. It's dangerous to be in Russia if you have a male gender marker in your passport. You can be drafted to army.
So being non-binary, do you have that in your passport?
Yes, I had male gender marker in the passport, but in Russia there was a wonderful window since 2018 to 2023 year, I think, yes, when a person could change their gender marker and their first name. So I used this opportunity and I changed my name. My legal name is Eva. I still use it, and a lot of my friends use it. It doesn't bother me, but I don't use this name now because I realized that I'm more of a non-binary person. So I've chosen another name. And also a lot of adversities connected to these names. So,
are you still in touch with your family?
Yes, sometimes I talk to my mother, but she is terribly brainwashed. Yes, it's very difficult to talk to her. She is a Putin supporter, she's war supporter, and she really hates LGBTQ people. She thinks that she is very miserable and unhappy, and all because I am LGBTQ person.
Yes, right. And yet she still loves you.
Maybe. Well, I think that she loves an image of me that she created.
Yes.
Because yes, when back in my 13 years old, when I came out to her as a gay man. She didn't want to believe in it, so she convinced herself that
Yeah.
I was only looking forward to friendships with boys, and yeah, she
Right.
can't accept me.
And do you have siblings?
No, I don't have any siblings. I
Same
have only
age.
my mother and my grandmother, and they both live in Volgograd.
During this time, like 13 to 18, a lot of stuff happens in your life. You know, you go through a lot of changes. And I'm just thinking about the things that you've done to change or challenge your identity, you know, for yourself. And so I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I realized that might be non-binary when I was about 17 years old. Yes, I felt that I don't have any gender. I'm not man or woman. And when I was, I think about 21-year old, I started transitioning. I went to a doctor in Russia and got a transgender certificate that allowed me to be prescribed with hormones and to change my gender mark. In Russia, in order to change your gender mark, you need to be diagnosed with transsexualism, and I have that diagnosis. Yes, I even brought the paper with this diagnosis with me here.
So it's like a medical diagnosis?
Yes, it's. I think it's a little outdated, and I prefer how it's done here in Vermont. Here, a person can change their gender mark just by signing a form for changing gender mark. And also, it was very easy for me to be prescribed with hormones. I just went to Planned Parenthood and talked to them, and we chose the right hormone replacement regime for me.
That's here in
Yes,
in
here in
Brattleboro.
Vermont.
Yes, yes.
In Brattleboro.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Yes.
It's pretty convenient. You decide to leave Russia. You pack your bags. What was that journey like for you? Because you were leaving behind.
Well, it was very. It wasn't an easy decision. Yes, I had my psychologist helping me because I had quite a nice life. Well, quite financially nice life in Russia, and I knew that it will be a very big downgrade for me to move here. And first, I was very afraid to go to United States because it was so far, and I wanted to go to Germany or Netherlands, and I was trying to make a plan to go there. But these countries were very closed to Russian people, and I couldn't even. Well, first I tried to get some tickets to third country with a interchange in Germany, but some organization from Germany told me that that probably avia company will not even let me on board, so without visa for Germany, even to interchange there.
So Ember, you're doing this all alone as well. You're traveling alone. You're talking to people alone. You've got language barriers going on as well, right? So you had a lot of determination.
Yes, it's well. Now I understand that it was very, very extremely unsafe in Russia. And when I was back there, I felt that something is wrong and that I can be that it can get even worse.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised by anything now after February 24, 2022, when Putin started the war with Ukraine.
Right.
I'm not surprised by anything, and. I was just very, very, very scared to stay there, and I cried a lot because it was tough to leave all my friends, my financially nice life there, and to move to another country where I have nothing.
Right.
But now I'm very grateful that I did this because I feel much safer here. I think 80% of my adversities disappeared because here I'm not afraid to get out to streets, and I'm sure that police will protect me from bad people.
Very, very different culture, yes. After you left the border, you went to a couple different cities doing things for becoming an asylum seeker. You ended up in Brattleboro. How did you end up here?
Well, I was living in New York City in
Yeah.
shelter for immigrant people, and it was a little bit tough there because now New York City has an immigration crisis.
Yeah.
The situation is kind of chaotic there. So I lived in a big tent, and it was very cold there, and they had toilets and bathrooms outside. So when I was like every day when I was returning from shower, like very warmed up, I went through the almost 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Hopefully, I had an organization called Border Butterflies. I met them when I was in Tijuana, and they connected me with CASP. And CASP invited me to move to Brattleboro. They provided me with room and stipend, and some. They cover my phone bills and my medical expenses because now I don't have Medicaid and I don't have any health insurance. So sometimes I need to pay for my medical issues. I accepted their offer as soon as I knew about it, and I moved here. Yes, I stayed in Colonial Motel, and after that I moved to a volunteer who provided a temporary living place in her basement, which was really nice. It reminded me of Tom and Jerry movie because, well, it was so American. Very American. And after that, I moved to Marie House. It's Marie Proctor. She CASP is renting a room at her house. It's very nice, big, old Victorian house that is older than 100 years, I think.
Yes.
And yes, now I live there.
I just want to add to this conversation that our last show was with Liv Barrelson, who is the director at CASP. And she talked a lot about the difference between an asylum seeker and a refugee. So I would offer to people to take a look at that show. You are volunteering there as well, right? And what do you do for them?
Well, now I am setting up their website because it looked kind of old, and now I'm trying to get a new design so it can attract new volunteers, new donors, and educate people about differences of refugees, asylum seekers, and about difficulties people can people can meet, people can face in other countries.
You're how old, 24?
Yes, I'm 24.
You're 24, okay. So when you landed here in Brattleboro after doing all that traveling, what was the town like when you got here? Because it was still fall, the weather wasn't too bad yet?
Yes, it was fall. I had a liking to it because I felt extremely safe here. I've seen so many rainbow flags here as I have never seen in whole my life. Because
so many what?
Rainbow flags.
Rainbow flags. Yes, of course. Yes, everywhere.
I have never seen them so much in my life. Now in Russia, it's like very illegal to put these flags outside. And before, whole my life, it was just very scary to put them outside because you could be beaten to death for that, as happened to people who were thought to be gay in Russia.
Yes.
And this is I like that this town is very liberal.
Yeah. Yes. You can't get much more liberal than Brattleboro, Vermont. There's a lot of great stuff going on. Have you been able to take advantage of things like music and performance and the circus, which is in town?
I went to Brattleboro Music Center once with my friend Carmen. It was, I think it was December 31st. They had some special winter event.
Yes.
And I went to Lecces to watch Met Opera broadcasted from New York. We watched Nabucco. And recently I went to Lecces to watch one classical American movie, The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I liked music from it because I heard it before, but I don't remember where.
So you hadn't seen the movie before?
No, I knew
Yeah,
about that,
yeah, right.
and I think I've seen some cartoon maybe. Yes,
Right.
but I haven't seen the original movie.
Did you like it?
Yes, I liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty great when it turns from black and white to color.
Yes, I was very surprised.
Yeah. What kinds of things are you doing in town? You're doing the volunteering, you're able to do some social things. What other things? Where are you going in town? And what speaks to you?
I like to go to volunteer at CASP, and also I like to go to Central Congregational Church. I was raised atheist in Russia, and I was very afraid of churches because I felt that every single church in Russia is homophobic and transphobic. So I've never been to them, and I felt that they are really hostile to queer people. And here I was very surprised when on one event the minister of the church came to me and gave me a card. And I called him, I met him, and I realized that this church was very open and affirming, and I started to go on their Sunday worships, which I really like, and also I volunteer there. I help them to build their website, so it's more modern. And just help them technically, because I have some experience. I used to be a programmer in Russia.
You did?
Yes.
You did, and that's what you did after you got out of school?
Well, when I got out of school, I studied at some prestige university in St. Petersburg. I didn't really like it. I studied there only for a year and a half. Then I dropped out, and I started to work as a web developer. I was a backend developer, and I coded backends in Python. Yes.
So just going back a little bit too, Ember, before you got to university, during your high school years, were there any things that you were attracted to doing, art, music, history?
Yes, when I was in school, I also simultaneously attended music school for 11 years. I played piano there for 8 years, and then for 3 years I was composing music. I was learning to make arrangements. It was nice, and I'd like to remember my skill here because I haven't practiced it for a long time. Yeah. So I think I will be able to do it in church because they have a lot of pianos there.
Yes, and they're beautiful acoustics in that church as well, and it's a beautiful church inside. Yeah.
Yes, it's a nice church.
So you have places where you are accepted. You have places where you're getting support here in town.
Yes, I feel very supported and accepted here. I have never felt so safe in my life. So, well, now I have sometimes I have nightmares that I'm again in Russia, like today I had one. And it's funny that I was half sleeping and I understood that I'm not in Russia, but still at the same time I was thinking, how do I get out? How do I get out of Russia? Yeah, and it's kind of repeating nightmare that I have often, and sometimes when I wake up I feel a little anxiety.
I'll bet. That's PTSD, basically, right?
Yes, it seems like one. I have meetings with my psychologist from Russia. Yes. I call her with video calls. I've been prescribed with antidepressants, and I take them here, and well, I think they're helping me because I have, I feel more stable with them.
Yes, right. That's great. That's great that you're getting almost all the bases are covered. It feels like.
Also, I was prescribed with them in Planned Parenthood, which is very nice. They covered the cost of them. Covered the cost of therapy session to prescribe them because I don't have Medicaid. Yet, but they still they have very affordable prices for people who are facing adversities.
Ember, being here in the United States for 6 or 8 months, I'm sure that you read the news and you've been following a lot of what's happening in your country. These latest developments that we've been hearing about are pretty disturbing. Of Navalny, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it wrong.
Alexei Navalny.
Navalny, yes, thank you. Do you have a response to that? Do you feel that?
Yes, well, it was predictable that he will be killed one day, but still it was a shock for me, and I'm kind of trying to start a new life here in United States, but still some Russian youth, they very disturb me because I understand that a lot of my friends and my family there, and even though my mother is brainwashed, I understand that for her it's very bad to be in Russia, and I was a supporter of Navalny since I was in high school. I've attended, I don't remember how much, but I've attended his meetings. I think I was attending only sanctioned meeting. No, yeah, sanctioned meetings, because in Russia to go outside and to have a meeting, you need to get it sanctioned, or it's considered illegal for safety of Putin. And I feel anger and sadness because of the situations that happened, and as I said, after February 24th, I'm not surprised by anything, but still it's so painful to see what
Yes.
happens.
Right.
And well, for me as an LGBTQ people, it's especially painful to see what happens to LGBTQ people in Russia.
Right.
And first, there was a law that banned LGBTQ propaganda among any people. Like it was banned among minors since 2013, and now they in 2022 they banned it among anyone. I read the draft of this law, and I was like, it was unbelievable for me that they will legislated, but they did. And after that, they banned change of gender mark in passport and hormone replacement therapy and gender affirming surgeries in Russia. And now the Russian Supreme Court, it was recently, I think October or November, legislated that international LGBTQ movement is considered extremist organization.
Yeah.
And it bans, well, it can be, I think this law can be read by anyone who wants it to read, like, in any way.
Yeah.
So they can use it to persecute anyone, even not LGBTQ people, just to get rid of any opposition in Russia.
Right, right. And you've seen this coming. And so this was not, unfortunately, this was not a big surprise to you, as disheartening as it was. It
Well,
wasn't a
yes,
surprise.
yes. After the war in Ukraine, I think that what happens in Russia is, well, it's crazy. And I'm glad that I moved from there, but I'm very worried for my friends and for, the percentage of Russian people who understand that things aren't okay.
Yes. Are there friends of yours that want to leave Russia?
Well, I think they want, but they sometimes they get brainwashed. Most of my friends, they just sit at home. They try to hide that their date, that they are gay or transgender. And yes, for them it's a lot of difficulties. And I think that a person who whole their life lived in not free country, they don't know what freedom is, because I knew what freedom is only when I got here.
Yeah, what real freedom was. Yes, yeah. Well, you know, I have to ask you, Ember, you know, what you're saying in terms of your family life and your friends and the life that you led in Russia. It seems that you have a very broad view of things, a much more open view of not only individuals, but community life and how to live a life that's humane. Can you say where that came from? Do you have any idea what that influence was in your life?
Well, I think learning English really helped me because when I was a child, I was trying to. I realized that I'm not a heterosexual man, and I was trying to get some information about myself. And it was very difficult to find some information on Russian sources.
Yeah.
So I remember reading some article in English about LGBTQ people, and I saw that other countries support LGBTQ people and they accept marriage equality and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the ability of it motivated me to learn English more and to get information from various sources. I think this taught me to be more open-minded.
Yeah, well, it's very impressive, you know, that you were able to do that at such a young age, and also to really embody that, you know, in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that it's worked out. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're finding enough things to do to occupy yourself.
Yes.
Because I know you're in a waiting period.
Yes, right now I'm waiting for my employment authorization document to be able to start working and to be able to earn money because now I live on stipend. And also I'm waiting for my court hearings where I will fight for my asylum, where I will have to prove the immigration judge that I am eligible for being granted with asylum. And these two things are the most important for me now in my life.
You're focused on that. Yes, and they are coming up in the near future.
Yes, employment authorization documents coming up very soon, I think.
Oh, good. That's good.
A few months. And court hearings, I think they are coming up. Well, I have a court hearing in autumn now, and I think I hope I will deal with it until the next year.
Yeah, right. Well, meanwhile, you're going to get to know Brattleboro real well, right?
Yes.
And have more fun and see more people. Thank you, Ember.
Thank you to Wendy for having me here. It was very nice to talk to you here in this nice studio.
It's a great studio, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
I like it very much.
Yeah, well, maybe you could get your own show.
Yeah, I'd like to one day.
We'll talk about that after the show, all right?
All right.
All right, because it's a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you all for tuning in today. I also want to give a couple of shout outs that are pertinent to Ember and that part of our community that's doing such heavy lifting when it comes to refugees and asylum seekers and LGBTQ community. Liv Barrelson at CASP and all the people at CASP who are volunteering and providing shelter and all kinds of assistance for the asylum seekers. And then also the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, and especially Alex Beck, who is part of, I believe, the head of the Welcoming Communities Manager. And they are doing all kinds of things to help the immigrants and the refugees and the asylum seekers that are coming to our town, and to encourage them to become part of our town and finding ways that they can do that right across the board in so many different ways. And also to HB Lazito and Out in the Open. They are doing amazing work there for the LGBTQ plus community in southern Vermont. So another organization to be in touch with and be aware of. There are others, but these are three of the heavy hitters, the ECDC and the Also the Multicultural Center on Burge Street is another big organization doing huge work. So stay tuned. We're trying to cover everybody in this community and everybody who's involved in these different things that we have happening in our community right now. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for welcoming Ember Rebrina into our community, and we will see you next time.